What it do, y'all? It's the voice of the culture, man. And today is just another opportunity to just get blessed with a brother that's sitting next to me with very inspiring. Didn't really get a chance to know him at first. I was plugged into him by a great brother of mine. Shout out to my man Lavish Kirk. But it's funny how people just see things in other people and just want to connect the dots. So here I am sitting next to my brother today, man. And definitely one for the culture. Definitely been moving the culture, shaking the culture, part of the culture. Now he is the culture. And before we even get into who he is, man, shout out to the Hush down in West New York. You know what I mean? We in a different location, same family. You know what it is. You want to get fresh with us, come on down to West New York, man, 17 Imperial Ave. You know what I mean? But without further ado, man, I'm gonna let my man, let BK speak for himself, Mr. BK's own.
Yes.
CA, what's up, baby?
CA Victor, author of the Conscious Pugilist Anthology, True Power Hides in Plain Sight. Thank you for having me, man. I've been checking out the podcast, loved how you do it. You know, we was talking a little bit before your introduction, and love your style, man.
Appreciate you.
Definitely a blessing to be here.
Nah, I appreciate you, man. Shout out to my man Lavish again, man, just on the plug, man.
Lavish.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
It's definitely good to have great people around you that understand each other and feel like, you know what, bro, I got something for you. And it just goes back and forth, and here we are today, man. Mm-hmm. And just kind of going through your credits, your resume. Mm-hmm. Yo, my man, you've been, first of all, salute to that. Your resume is impeccable because it's self-made. And it wasn't a coattail, it was hard work, dedication, sticking to the script. Of course, we have those moments, but at the end of the day, you here today.
Thank you.
You got the book, you got gold records, you got businesses, you got real estate, you got investments. Like, yo, my man, how do you just continue to just stay in all these different lanes without crashing, man? That's what I want to ask you first, man.
Well, it's just being myself, first and foremost, you know, being true to who I am. You know, by my nature, I'm creative. But growing up in hardship made me a hustler. You understand what I'm saying? Like a go-getter, we used to say,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, trying to always balance that is the difficult part. You know what I'm saying? So getting into like investments and things like that was something that I had to learn later on in life, because the way we came up, you know, we talked about we kind of during the same era. It was something that wasn't really taught to us, you know. It was just about working and getting money and paying bills and stuff like that. But one thing that I always did was pay attention, you know what I'm saying? And I know because I grew up so hard and poor, like trying to make sure that I was able to do something to whereas I would never have to live like that again was initially my ambition. But in my heart of hearts, I always had a creative nature to me, but I just never really like focused on it until I got older, because the main thing was trying to survive. Like, you know, I've been on my own since I was like 17 years old, having to pay rent and stuff like that. So, you know, when that's your priority, you can't really focus on your dreams like that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, everything is just could be in the back of your mind. And until those opportunities present themselves, you can't really get there. So I never really look at it like, you know, somebody interviewed me one time and was like, yo, they asked me about reinvention. And I said, it's not really, I used to call it me reinventing myself, but it's really more revealing more to myself, because it might be new to you, but that shit always been inside me, part of my language. But, you know, that's always, okay. So that's always been a part of me. Like, you never know what somebody's thinking about or what's in them until they might be thinking about it for a long time. Like,
Right.
You know, I never thought, like, I grew up, like, I didn't even understand credit. So saying, like, I'm gonna invest in property was something that was far-fetched, you know what I mean? But I remember being in New York and seeing gentrification, like being from Brooklyn and then moving to Harlem and seeing how Harlem was changing and like in real time, like seeing all those gutted out brownstones and all of that. I seen the opportunity right away. And that's something I always seen was like, I could see an opportunity, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, you could say opportunist or whatever, but if you a real hustler, you're a business person, you will see an opportunity. I just wasn't in position. So once I was able to I was in the back of my mind, I started understanding timing is everything. So the timing wasn't right for me because I wasn't prepared. You know, they always say, what is luck? Luck is when opportunity meets preparation. So the opportunity was there, but I wasn't prepared for it. So in the back of my mind, I always said, the next time that opportunity presents itself, I'm gonna make sure I'm prepared for it. But I was young thinking that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But like you said, you grew up in Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? The time of the late '80s, it was fucked up.
It's crazy.
It was fucked up. Like you said, you was out there on your own, figuring out life. But it seemed like, yo, you know, when I read your bio about yourself, that you always was aware of what you wanted to go. You know, some brothers be lost and just be falling in it. Yo, I'm gonna try this, cause you was always an investor. You just didn't invest into the right things.
That's a fact, yes.
Because I understand that. You know what I'm saying? We're quick to invest in some quick, fast bullshit to go do X, Y, Z instead of investing in something that's gonna be slow and steady and long journey. Because of the way we living in our minds is, yo, we gotta get it today. Tomorrow ain't promised. I ain't thinking about next year, 2 years.
You gotta pay bills today.
Exactly, you know what I'm saying? So we was already in preparation. We just was in survival mode. You know what I'm saying? But some of us use that mode to make us better men, and that's what you did, King.
Thank you.
You used that drive. You didn't let it break you down. It didn't be the woe you story. It didn't be, well, you know, I ain't got no other choice. You made a choice.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie, some of them days was hard.
They hard sometimes, you know they hard now, bro.
And, listen, man, and I always say, man, there was times when, you know, I really talked to God and I was like, yo, God, man, if you get me out of this situation, I swear, like, you know, I tell young people, I say, yo, listen, man, I always had a relationship with God. That's first and foremost.
Of course.
That was natural. You know, anybody watching this will know if you have a relationship with God, man, that will get you through
everything.
Everything, man.
Not almost, or have everything. Single thing.
If you have a relationship with God. And, you know, I come from a religious family, my grandmother, my mother, and, you know, they will go to church. Now, this might sound a little crazy. I'm not a very religious person, but I always had a relationship with God. Like, I talk to him like we have a relationship.
You understand your relationship with him.
Exactly.
And it's not built for nobody else to really understand.
Exactly. So going through those times, and I say everything that God ever asked, anything I ever asked God for, he gave to me. But I didn't feel like I held up to my end of the bargain. I say that because of those times. Because there was times when I was like, man, God, like, yo, I need to get through this. And I never said, yo, I need money, I need this, I need that. I just asked him for strength and wisdom. It's the only things I really asked him for. And I feel like in those situations, he gave that to me. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I was able to see my way through those obstacles, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, but it was, you know, especially in those times, because you young, you don't have the experience yet to see your way through things, right?
It's day to day, really.
It's day to day.
And the streets is teaching you.
It's day to day, man. And even in those times, I was like, damn, man, like why? But I'm glad, you know, you go through those things to build you for what you're really supposed to be doing out here. And now that we're older, we kind of see those things. And, you know, I was blessed to have the right people around me and just to give me enough to help get me to the next stage, because we all need help from time to time. And, you know, I've tried to give back and do that for my young people when I can.
And I feel like, you know what, your testimony itself is the give back. Because those that get an opportunity to understand or even get a chance just to learn about you, can sit back and say, oh, okay, if he can go through that, this little thing that I'm dealing with at this point, I can navigate through that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I call it strength in numbers. Because when I read it, I gained strength. It said to me, yo, Shy, you just got to keep pushing.
Yeah.
And it's okay to tell a person that. That's why I'm telling the culture this. I'm telling my brother this not because we on set, but it's the reality. Yo, reading his situation and his story 2 days ago just reminded me to keep going.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Because everybody's not gonna be man up to say, you know what, I need to hear that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going through nothing.
Yeah.
It was just, yo, brothers is still, yo, the journey never ends. It's my man got a gold record, this book, publisher.
Yeah.
You stay in tune with life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're current. It's not like you're lost, not like you're living in this fantasy. No. Because a lot of people say, yo, y'all old, y'all get caught up, y'all, this ain't back in the days. No, we understand where we at right now.
Yeah, nah, facts.
You know what I mean? And you gave us that, bro.
Facts. Nah, I appreciate it, man. And I appreciate a lot of my people who've been with me through those times that, you know, some younger, and they definitely shout me out and say, yo, you know, you'd be surprised the people that watch you, you know, that you don't even know looking, you know, and us as elders at this point, you know, I'm sure there's people watching you doing your thing that may not know the everyday struggle you going through or how much work you actually put in, but the fact that they see you getting up and doing positive things every day, and they may be in their teens, 20s or whatever, but they're younger and they're watching you and you're inspiring them.
Yeah.
And that's all a part of the process. We inspire each other, man. Like, even seeing you doing this, and we was talking off camera about the editing and stuff like that, and interviewing. In a way, it inspires me too, man, because I know you getting up early to do this is putting in the work, and that just lets me know, like, yo, we out here working, man, and we can connect like that, man, for sure.
But how did you how did you change the game? You know what I mean? You got into the music industry. Let's talk about that journey, because it had to be a point where you said, okay, I got to get into a different lane.
Honestly, it wasn't even like that.
Okay.
I would say, like, you know, music was something that I always loved. Like, you know, we all love music. Growing up in the 70s, 80s, the soul music, this and that. And, you know, so I never looked to say, like, I'm gonna do anything, production or what have you. I did a little writing and stuff like that, but it wasn't something that I saw that was tangible. But I knew people that was always trying to get involved in the music industry. So, you know, I would talk to them and, you know, they would rap, I would have ideas and stuff like that and feed them. But it wasn't until really I started my production company, and I started a production company. My partner, he made beats and he had a studio.
What year was this?
This was in 98, I would say.
Okay.
So we started like working, and I had like family and friends that was interested in getting on and working on music. So we started doing that just as something to really help them. You know what I'm saying? In-house, and do it that way. And then from there, I started shopping the music, and I had all of these records. Like, somebody called him like my surrogate father, uptown. And he's the reason why I went uptown to begin with. And he had, man, this collection of albums, like everything. When I say everything, like he had crates of music and albums, and you know, I knew it from when I was a kid. And unfortunately, you know, he had a drug problem.
Okay.
So I actually put him in drug rehab.
Okay.
And I put all his stuff in storage. So I had access to all these records. So we would use those records and sample, and I would be like, yo, Lo, listen, like, let's use this and sample and da-da-da-da. And we would be making these songs and these music, and then I would take some of the music, and I started going to Sony, Universal, Rockefeller, you know, meeting people. I would be selling tracks on the street, like, you know what I'm saying?
Especially in that era, it was no social media. So
no social
media. It's the street team.
That's
it's beating the concrete. It's going
who you know.
It's going to every club.
That's it. I was everywhere. Everywhere I could go. I used to even do they used to be production, like, I don't want to say battles, but like where you would go and it would be like industry people, other producers,
Right.
people, A&Rs at different record companies and stuff like that. And producers would come and they would just let you like, yeah, they play your beats.
Sample your beats, yeah.
Play your beats. And they would tell you who was good. So, you know, I did everything under the sun. I would meet people at Sony, executives, this and that, play them this, play them that. And, you know, everybody kind of liked it, but sometimes you guys got to get the right songs into the right beats into the right artists.
Right.
And then, you know, shout out to Cam, you know, his team, good people. You know, met them, they got some joints to Cam, and we was able to get a couple placements on Purple Haze, who he says is like his favorite album. So I was glad to be a part of that and
That's
that
a
process
blessing.
and all of that. Yeah, man. So
It's a gold album too.
it's a gold album, so that's where I got the gold album from that. And you know, but my thing for the music industry, being part of the creative process, I love being. But anybody who's been in the studio, you know, it's a lot of work. It's not all fun. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot of downtime. It's a lot of engineering stuff and stuff like that. But taking one thing like that starts off as like maybe a record or just one simple beat.
Starts from
digging in
that
the crate, right? You starting from that. And then seeing the artist and working with the artist and the artist going off and writing 16 and you helping them or them coming up with a chorus themselves or you saying like, yo, this song should be this. And then turning out, then going in, back then you used to go to your car, put the tape in or whatever, go to the block and see how the homies felt about it. And then seeing it on stage and then them performing it, like that process.
Then seeing the crowd reaction.
The crowd reaction.
Don't know anything behind that went on.
Right, exactly. That was the beautiful thing about that process. And even doing that, it taught me a lot about, you know, business in general, man. Because during that time, I was also in the car business, like, and I was, and I had a lot of opportunities in that field too. So I'm seeing two different industries and its impact on people in two different ways, and that all of that was learning and a great time to be in New York. New York was lit back then.
That's
man.
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, man. So it was fun. So I always tell people I wouldn't trade that time for nothing because the wins, the losses, everything. Great memories. You know, I talked to some of my family and friends who was around me around the time, and we all enjoyed that time, man. Yeah.
I feel like that era right there, what we talking about. You know what I'm saying? From, I'm going to say really 92 all the way up. Mm-hmm. What we experienced in that level of time, it was so authentic. Mm-hmm. Because, yo, you had to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You had to be there. You had to be on 125th on Saturday night. You had to be in front of Willie's. You had to be at
Rough
the
Riders coming through with all that.
You had to be at the tunnel. You had to be at the Grant's Tomb.
All that.
It wasn't,
Grant's Tomb.
you had to be there. You know, you had to be when they shut down 125th Street on that last day of the African Day Parade. You had to be there when Biggie performed at the State Building.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Compared to now, where everybody just holds a camera up, but you ain't really got to be there. You just know who was there.
So I told my kids, like during that whole thing with the Knicks and everything, I said, this is the closest you'll see to what New York was like back in the days.
Facts.
You know, that's the closest. The energy. That's the closest you'll get. Like, yeah, the parade obviously was huge. You know, we had the Yankee parades and shit like that back then. But the energy and how the pride and all of that of being New York and all of that, like, you know, because it felt like New York was the center of the world back then, and that's how it felt when the Knicks was making their run. It felt like, again, New York was the center of the world, like all eyes on us. New York's the main character, you know, everything everybody was saying, you know what I'm saying? Because we was still, you know, at least in hip hop and in a lot of other ways too, we was outsourcing the culture. We was still in that vibe of really saying like, this is what it is. And that came from the 70s, 80s, all the way up, you know.
And
so
our era just captivated because it made it a lifestyle.
Yeah, we took it for granted in a lot of ways because it was what it was. We didn't really realize like what it was until after. I feel like.
Well, for me, I agree with you with that because when I do look on it, I'm like, God damn, man. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and turn around and do it again.
Yeah.
Like, yo, that's we live for that.
And for anybody that really know, the dope spots and parties was like on a Tuesday.
And Wednesday.
Those Wednesdays, those was really the nights when you was outside, and that's when the real people was outside, industry nights and stuff like that,
Right.
where you knew what's happening. It was like Saturdays was cool and all of that, but
Saturdays like,
Yeah,
Saturdays
exactly.
for those that don't come out during the week.
exactly.
Yo, let me see you on Tuesday. Come out
That's
on
a
Tuesday.
fact.
What's going on on Tuesday? I
That's
gotta go to
a
work
fact.
in the listen, man.
Nah.
I don't know what to tell you. I gotta go to work too, but
Me too.
I gotta be there. You know what I'm saying?
24/7. It was a time, man. It was
So
a
you
time.
jumped into the car. You was in the car game at the same time. What made you get into that business though?
Necessity. Like, again, being like looking for opportunity and was able to get one from, to me, again, man, I look back at God, man.
Right place, right time.
I would say, yeah, because at that time, I felt like opportunities was running out and I was starting to develop a mentality that wasn't probably gonna be good. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? It was probably reckless. Anytime you start developing, I don't care type of, mentality, because you willing to hustle and take chances and risks that you probably shouldn't,
Not even thinking.
and not thinking, and you really
You really chasing.
you chasing, and you again, you putting yourself in situations that you know better than, you know what I'm saying? So an opportunity came up from somebody who I would have never thought it would have came up, and I always wanted to work to get mine. I always wanted to, I always tell people anything I ever did outside of work was because I had to, not because I wanted to, but because I had to. I had to pay my bills, I had to take care of myself, I had to do what I had to do. And I always look for opportunity, and there's those times when I couldn't find opportunity that
I had to make an opportunity.
I had to make opportunities. So I always feel like that was God stepping in and being like, nah, I got this for you. So 30 years ago, I would say 30 years ago, almost to the day. So it's a blessing that we sitting here talking. My life changed, and it changed for the better. 30 years. I just did a video on this actually because, Jay-Z's celebrating Reasonable Doubt, 30 years.
Nas
Celebrating, it was written. And I was talking about those two albums, and then I had to throw in the Fugees too, because they had the score that was also 30 years. I had forgot about that because their album came earlier that year.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was taking care of myself. I had no job or nothing like that, and that was the soundtrack to that time in my life. And for that pocket, I was listening to all of those songs and all of that. And coming into this year, I was like, damn, it's 30 years that, I met my wife, became my mother of my kids. The first time I entered the car business, and everything turned around. And, I would say it started 30 years ago.
So really your 30-year anniversary, King, of greatness. Excuse me.
I'm celebrating, man. I'm
You
celebrating.
should be.
This time, this year, and everything is spiritual to me in a way that I'm even sitting here talking to you about this stuff. That at this moment, sitting in a room, listening to those songs, trying to figure it out, and a guy who I didn't even like, that. I mean, I used to serve him, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is what it is.
Got me in a business that in many ways probably saved my life. You know what I'm saying?
Let's think
because
about
it gave me something. Back then, I'm sorry to cut you.
Nah.
But I just want to.
You might say what I'm about to say.
For anybody who may be young or what have you, at that time, there was not a lot of opportunity for young brothers. They wasn't, listen, I tried to get jobs, man. I went places, nobody would give me an opportunity. I actually wanted to go to school. I was willing to pay. I was willing to do just about anything to get on, The only thing I did, I took a city test, but they never called me. It's funny, they ain't called me or sent me a letter till like maybe 5 years later, and I was already good. But I was just trying to figure it out, man, you know, and that's why I always say God always shows grace on me, because he knows there was other things I could have did that I didn't do, because I never did nothing malicious to nobody. You know, my credit was always good, and you know, for most people to tell you I'm a good dude, like, so people always try to look out for me,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yo, nah, yo, you could do this, is opportunity, stuff like that. But that dude in particular, I wasn't good to him. Like, I really wasn't. Like, you know, I was kind of like on my bullshit at that time, and
That was divine intervention. That
and he was an
God.
older head, but he got me involved in it, and then I made the most of that opportunity. And that time I appreciate, because, you know, when you doing something like, I wasn't hired for sales, I was hired as an entry-level position. And it's crazy, because I used to go in there, my Tommy Hilfiger stuff, you know what I'm saying, my hair, whatever. I used to have rock gold fronts and all of that back then, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I was just like, man, but what he did though, he lied to me about how much money I wasn't gonna say he lied to me, but maybe he ain't know. But the money I was gonna get paid, he ain't really, it wasn't that money, you know what I'm saying? It was like ballet shit and stuff like that.
Right.
But in talking to him and talking to a lot of the people there, I realized like, yo, I could do more. So within a month's time, thank God, some of these people still my friends today. They was older than me, and they took a liking to me. And I was like, one of the dudes, I was like, yo, you know, I really want to get more into, you know, sales and stuff like that. And they was like, yo, talk to them. It was like a brother who was a manager. He kind of shut me down. Then I went to the owner's son. He kind of gave me an opportunity, and the rest was history. But, you know, I sucked, man. But I didn't know how to talk professionally. You know, I used to talk like I was still on the block.
I was in the street.
I used to still. I ain't saying I was in the street, but yeah, you know what I'm saying.
We talk like we talk what we talk. We didn't know how to turn it on.
I didn't know how to turn it on and off. I didn't have, at that point, I didn't have that. It's not that I didn't know how. I just wasn't happy.
We wasn't doing that.
No, we wasn't doing that.
It wasn't our day to day. Let's just deal with the reality.
Nah, we wasn't doing that for sure. So I remember my man. Shout out to Keith. Like I said, he's still he's like an OG to me. But he was from the Bronx, and he used to listen to me. He used to be like, yo, you can't talk like that. You know, he's like, you know what I'm saying? You know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I started going to Barnes and Nobles, and I would buy mad books. And I'm gonna bring this all full circle for you. I started buying books on credit, 'cause I didn't understand credit. You know, I just knew how to move and groove.
You started doing your own homework.
I started doing the extra work myself, you know what I'm saying? I didn't even have like clothes, like, you know, I always tell young people today,
Business.
I didn't create this. I don't know who made it up, but somebody told it to me years ago. You don't dress for the job you have, you dress for the job you want.
Right.
You know, so I had to go out and buy this stuff. And I remember one of my homeboys, he was from Brooklyn, but he lived uptown too. And it's the first time he seen me in a shirt with a tie and stuff. He was clowning. He was like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? Because we used to just be on the block, you know, doing our thing. I was like, bro, I'm gonna do what I gotta do, bro. You know, we niggas ain't getting no younger. So, you know, shout out to him though. It was all good. Cause he used to rap too. So that's when I told you about music and all of that. And he used to always say, he used to be like, yo, you could be like Nas, bro. Cause he used to hear me saying little stuff here and there. He was like, yo, you like a Nas type dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I ain't no rapper though. I said, I could write. Cause he used to hear some of the stuff. He's like, yeah, I could write, but I'm not a rapper. I don't think I come across like a rapper. I'm more on the behind the scenes producer type, stuff like that. So I didn't see that in myself. So, but he was, and he was good. So we used to talk about stuff like that. Shout out to him. He's from Brownsville. And, but getting back to that, so going to Barnes and Noble and having like the brother who really helped me, my man Keith and his boy Wally, they was Muslim. They was like, he's from Palestine, and Keith was black. And I used to talk to them, like I was never a 5%er, but I knew a lot of Muslim, you know, people, 5%ers, and so I understood the faith and everything. Matter of fact, one of my upstairs neighbors where I grew up in Brooklyn, heavy Muslim dude. He got caught up in one of them terrorist things. I've seen a lot of stuff in my life, man.
Right.
And one of them plots to blow up the building. I'm not saying he did or didn't, but he probably still in the feds. I grew up with him, so
Right.
I seen him. He was in the newspaper. So, you know, seeing stuff like that, and knowing that kind of endeared me to understand that type of stuff. So we built a bond strictly off that, and through him, that's how I was able to get the opportunity, because they seen me on one day come in looking like a dude from the hood, and in 2 days, once the owner's son said come in for an interview, I came in fresh to death in a suit, fresh cut, everything, looking like, oh shit, like this dude, I kind of forced their hand, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, if you tell me what I got to do to make something happen, I'm gonna make it happen.
Right.
So they say, yo, you know, come in, you got to get a little clean, you know. He probably thought I was bullshitting. But I went out, got everything in 2 days, altered, boom, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, boom, what's up?
Never look back.
Never looked back. I thought about quitting after I didn't know really how to talk professionally. But I looked in the mirror and said, yo, I ain't no quitter. And then from there, I became one of the top guys, in 3 months, top salesman. And then from there, all of that taught me, all of that was continuing. All of that told me, and I could go back to other stuff from a kid, but anything I put my mind to,
you can do.
I knew
you already knew that already. That's why you did that.
I knew I could do it. That's why I'm saying, there's times growing up where, you gotta face adversity, people doubting you, but you know what's in you. That's why the subtitle to the book is True Power Hides in Plain Sight. Because I could sit here real calm and cool, you won't know nothing, but you don't know that lion that's beating in me, and I don't know that lion that's beating, but you know what it is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like I like when people doubt me. You know what I'm saying? I almost turn myself down because I don't want, it's like I come in very unassuming, but I know that fire that's in me, you know what I'm saying? And, when it's time to channel that, I know how to channel that,
And that's a blessing, because a lot of people don't. They can challenge you. You can challenge it two ways, King. You can go left or you can go right.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes what you think is right is wrong. My father told me that. What you thinking is right is wrong because the way you're thinking right now is not clear.
It's emotions. That's your emotions.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's like, yo, let's think this thing out with a clear mind real quick. But one thing I want to say to the culture that they don't understand is 30 years ago, we didn't have too many brothers selling cars. That's something I wanted to say. Brothers wasn't selling cars. Brothers was really not. Now, a lot of my brothers are now, salute to y'all, but back then, that wasn't really something we was doing.
All right, so 2 things on that. There were brothers that was in the business, because let me tell you, out of all the places I worked in, that was probably the place that I had that had the most, but they was all older than me. They had the most, them dudes were sharp, man. And thank God I had a couple of them embrace me like a little bro. You know what I'm saying? So, at least in New York, I don't see as much now.
I'm saying for me, my time, I'd never really seen too many black guys until, honestly, I started working. So when you said you started at the car, that's how I met my partner. That's why we in this whole situation.
In the car business?
The car business.
Cool.
I was cleaning the cars, he was selling them.
So you understand.
I understand. That's what I'm saying, King.
You understand.
That's how our relationship, I was washing, he was cleaning.
Yeah.
I was washing, he was selling.
Yes.
And the guy hired about 4 young black dudes, and everybody,
That was in Jersey?
That was in Jersey, right in Hackensack.
So I can't speak on the New Jersey culture.
But it wasn't 30 years ago. We talking about maybe 20 years.
20 years, right.
A good 15.
So this is the difference that I see now. So back in the days, we had dudes like Dick Gidron. So Dick Gidron was a Ford and Cadillac owner. Okay. And what I don't see is a lot of black owners in the business. They had programs, minority programs, which we can get into if you want to, because again, talking about opportunity, I was in the right place at the right time. when Harlem had their first dealership, and I was the first manager up in there.
See what I'm saying?
So I was about to lead up to that. So I saw a lot of.
Congratulations on that.
I saw a lot. I mean, it's not there no more.
But it's still,
even
it's still-
seeing.
you-
Nah, at the time it was beautiful. So that's what I was
That's
gonna
what
say.
I'm saying. When the first car dealerships in Harlem, and you
Right.
a manager. That's what I'm trying to say.
So what I was gonna say to you is, this is all around the same time. So opportunities at that time for me was awesome because I'm like, yo, should I go hardcore into this music thing? But I got this opportunity that could open up to me. And then there's other things too that I'm doing. So like I said, this all goes back to 30 years ago, me sitting there having these conversations with God and asking him for wisdom and opportunity and stuff like that. And little by little, all of these things coming up. And I'm like, this is beautiful. But, you know, just to get back to your car, if I venture off, just bring me back. Just roll me back.
We chopping it up, King.
So going back to the car business, they knowing that you was in the car business. So they used to have a thing called minority programs.
Okay.
So after I got past that one, the first dealership I was in, you had I was trying to get out the business. You know what I'm saying? Because I had from starting off as a car shifter and becoming a salesman, then getting my own sales team at that place, and then starting my record company. I was kind of done. I just wanted to do the music thing.
Okay.
And I also wanted to open up a daycare center. I wanted to open up a daycare center. I was gonna do that with my sister, and then 9/11 came and she moved to Georgia, and that's a whole nother story. So after doing that for a while, I knew just being uptown, they was looking to open up a dealership in Harlem. Now, I gotta rewind it a little bit. At the time, we talking about gentrification, and I told you when I first got up there, I seen all this opportunity before it really got gentrified. So if you remember, Bill Clinton came up there,
Yes.
and that was a big deal. Disney put a store up there, that was a big deal. Magic Johnson went up there, that was a big deal. And I had did business with this woman who owned a flower store. There used to be a flea market on right off 125th Street, close to the east side. And anybody who does business with me, I always patronize them. So I wanted to buy some plants and stuff like that for the crib. And I went over and I said, now, mind you, I'm not in the car business anymore, but I go over there and I'm like, yo, I want to buy some plants. She was like, yo, we're not going to be here soon. I said, why? She was like, yo, they shutting us down. They said they building a dealership. I said, a dealership? I said, what the fuck are you talking about? She was like, oh yeah, they told somebody bought the land. And I say that because I'm bringing full circle.
Yeah.
Somebody brought the land
In Harlem.
In Harlem, and they kicking us out. Now, after I buy the plants and I leave, I start rewinding, going back to that first dealership I worked in. Mind you, I'm a manager now at this time. And they come to me, they was like, yo, there's a lot of things going on. Clinton, they just announced Clinton going up there, this and that. And the owner of the store wanted to go uptown. So they're like, yo, we're gonna take a ride uptown. But they ain't know uptown like that, but they wanted me to come and we just want to drive by 125th Street. I'm like, all right, no problem. But they specifically wanted to see that area. But they ain't tell me shit. So, you know, have you ever read the book, Spook, Who Sat by the Door? You know that book? Like, looking back at it, that's how I've kind of felt like, because I'm seeing these things, not even understanding what's going on, because I'm young. I'm still kind of fresh off the street. I'm not understanding. I'm just looking at opportunity, and I'm making things happen for myself. So now, after that owner tells me that, I rewind. I'm like, that's why these motherfuckers wanted to ride up here and see what was going on. All right, cool. So now when I know I wanted to get back, now I saw in the newspaper that it was an organization, Potamkin organization, that was big in the city at the time. They were the ones that was going uptown. So when I got back in the business, I went to them and I'm like, yo, I said, I want to be a part of what you got going on up there. And they was like, well, we don't have no manager positions. I said, I know you're about 2 years away, but I'm like, I just want to be a part of the organization, because when you go up there, I want to be up there. And that's what set a lot of that off. So once they seen me and they seen how I was working, and I'm already knowing a lot of people uptown, I'm moving and grooving, you know.
You relatable to everybody.
Relatable to everybody. They got me. So I already know a lot of people in the streets doing music and stuff like that. Two, they got me talking to a lot of the people, Harlem Chamber of Commerce. I'm meeting politicians up there and all of that. But now I'm understanding how business really works on another level.
Partnerships.
So what they did
Branding.
was they bought the land. They outsourced and sold 50% to minority owners just so that they could get the minority deal up there, because they couldn't get in Harlem without having
Minorities with them.
But understand, the company themselves own the land. So the owners of the dealership, they still got to pay rent. So seeing all of this, understanding how this business really works on another level, all of this is teaching me a lot, and understanding how important it is to everybody who's watching this, how important it is to own property, to own, and they're understanding that's even McDonald's business model. So this flows into the real estate stuff, investment in property stuff that you talk. So every level I'm learning gets me. So when you say, like I said, I'm gonna bring it full circle.
I'm with you.
So every level, when you saying like you did all of these different things, it's me learning, because I understood there was opportunity, but I just didn't know how to do it. I didn't like opportunity, luck. When opportunity meets preparation. So by the time that came up, I was prepared, because I had seen now through learning credit, how important credit is, through learning how important it is to own property and things and stuff like that. Like, this is how business is really done. A lot of people didn't realize, like, McDonald's is not really, to me, a restaurant company. They're a real estate company.
Real estate. They want to find the best place to be put at.
They own the property, and the franchise owners, they pay the rent. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, learning all of that stuff really taught me a lot. And even when I was going to do the daycare center with my sister, daycare thing with my sister, that's what I was looking to do. I was looking to buy the property to put it there. And, you know, so it's important to continue to learn and grow. At my age now, I'm still looking to learn, looking to grow, and bring out all these things that I see in myself, you know. Sorry, I know that was a little long.
Nah,
but,
it's,
you know.
bro, this is really, I'm gonna say this. It's a blessing, because I need the culture to understand it and get a clear view of it. Yo, you learn because you chose to be you're a visionary.
In some ways, I would say probably.
I'm not, you would say that because you inside of it.
Yeah.
I just listened to you growing up to where you at, 30-year anniversary of what you did. Yeah. It took a vision, bro. It wasn't no luck. That's a vision. You stepped into one situation, said, okay, I want to grow here. Yeah. You listened, because a lot of us don't want to listen. Oh, you die, man, I got my time here. Nah, it's not about time here. Let's clean this thing up. Let's get to this next level.
Yeah.
But I'm also doing this over here.
Yeah.
But this also is somewhat of a part of this, because I'm in the industry catching these whips.
Right. Yeah.
Now I just happen to go get the plants,
right,
and then I get this information. Oh, now you scratching your head. Oh, word?
Yeah.
You already, now the vision is, you keep going.
Yeah.
Now it's just so happened, they want to come uptown. They use you as the, come on uptown.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Now you're getting the first seat at everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They didn't even really tell me much. They was just,
they didn't want to tell you.
They didn't want to tell me.
But you got once you saw what you saw,
I started connecting the dots.
That's what visionaries
I started
do.
connecting the dots.
Oh, this was going on. Then you reached out.
I reached out to somebody else.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely. And then seeing firsthand how that business, listen, I didn't stay up, I ain't gonna lie to you. I didn't stay up there that long, because once I saw this was not gonna work, because I'm talking about the Harlem situation, and it didn't, because the plan wasn't good, because on the one hand you had two sides. it was good for the people who own the land. With going back to that.
Yeah, if you the owner, it's great.
But for the people who owned the dealership, it wasn't good because they was competing against themselves because they had selling the same thing not too far away. And then the other side that was owned by somebody who had nothing to do with the organization, they would have had to be the #1 dealer in the country in order to afford that rent. You understand what I'm saying? Because the rent was so high for them. And then on that side, there was like all kind of identity theft things going. People on the street telling me this. Because you gotta remember, well, you don't know, but you gotta understand, like, I had my ear to the street and I had my ear to what was going on from the, what's the right word to use? Like, you know, people that was legit, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, good jobs. They was older, they had, you know, the doctors, the lawyers, the black people up there that was more part of the political stuff, right?
The meat and potatoes.
Exactly. So, you know, anybody who knows like Uptown, Harlem, they know you can go into one restaurant, one spot, and you got everybody there. You got the street cat, you got the persons, politicians, stuff like that. You know, I used to live in a place called Lenox Terrace at one point. Charles Rangel.
Everybody.
Charles Rangel, that, you know, was a congressman, lived in, well, he had a apartment in one of those buildings, but you just see a lot of people over there.
And you're not afraid to talk.
Nah, not at all. So, you know, just being up in there and seeing a lot of different things up there was like, it was just a lot of things going up in there. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work out. So that got me to working for myself. I became an auto broker. You know what I'm saying? Because I had told a lot of people, don't buy nothing until I get up there. And a lot of people did that. So I started making a name for myself. So through doing that and working on my own and being like a broker, I was able to, you know, just basically work for myself. I parlayed that into working for myself. But it's all like one step leads to another, leads to another.
And that's why you never crashed, because it was just, you wasn't speeding, you was kind of just moving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Going with the flow, I guess you could say. Like,
because some people be speeding, going nowhere fast, but if you're moving, you're making motion. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
Let's talk about the book.
Yes, sir.
Bring the book out, man. Let's talk about
The Conscious Pugilist, Volume 1 Anthology. For those who don't know what an anthology is.
What inspired that? Before you say that, what inspired that book? If you don't mind, can I?
Yeah, I would say my mother passing away inspired it. You know, after she passed away, you know, anybody who's lost a loved one, a parent, you know that, you know, it's hard, especially, you know, if it's the person that raised you, like your mother, you know, cleaning out their house and stuff like that. You know, it's kind of like almost a rebirth in a way. And when you have somebody, when you're cleaning out and their closets and stuff like that, you kind of get back in touch with them, because you might see pictures and things that you never seen before. You see old letters and stuff maybe that you wrote, you know, as kids. You know, we write little poems and letters and stuff like that. At least I did. I'm assuming a lot of other people did as well. So I seen a lot of my creative writing that I had did as a kid, and it really just like let me know, like, damn, you always loved writing. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just something that I used to do. And the first thing that I wrote after she passed away was I wrote a little, you know, a couple little verses, a little poem for her that I had put out there, and a lot of people loved it, and they was like, wow, man, that's powerful, it's strong. And it just kept going from there. But that was like about 10 years ago. So again, I was still just doing it for my own mental, therapy in a way. And so I got a lot of stuff that I wrote. But deciding to actually do the book, I would say, was probably a few years ago, after getting off social media for a while and going through what I call the new chapter. Like I said, 30 years ago was me entering another chapter, and it was different chapters. But in 2020, I would say, was a transition period for me again, and getting and really rediscovering myself again, going back to a true power hides in plain sight, and really having better control of my ego, and really, once I realized like writing is really what I feel like I could have been here to do, and having stories to tell, and remembering how much people used to enjoy my stories even when I was in kindergarten, man. I used to be on the bus going to school, and people be like, yo, I used to have these characters in my head, and I would tell these different stories every day to the kids, and they loved them, you know. And realizing the power of the word and the power of stories. Stories is powerful. You know, you look at things like Cinderella and Snow White and stuff, and how that affects how people look at relationships growing up even today.
That slipper.
You know, I love reading the Bible, going back to Barnes and Nobles. Well, that's not really a story, but books like The Four Agreements and stuff like that. I don't know if anybody, I'm sure some people know it's a bestseller. But, it's a bunch of stories that teach you something. Movies, how many times we watch a movie or something like that over and over, and we take things from it that teaches us something. So I wanted to write something that, one, showed the writing skills that I have. You know what I'm saying? And when I say writing skills, every chapter is it's a different story, and every chapter is a different writing style. I got verses in there, I got a song in there, I got, like, not the whole song, but I wanted to showcase how many different ways I could write. And it's all a point to it, and there's spirituality in there. It's New York City in there. It's gonna take you down memory lane. It really, I tell people, you've never read nothing like that before, and especially somebody that, if you have what we used to call knowledge itself, you're gonna see some of that in there. If you just like some hood stuff, you're gonna see stuff like that. If you like business stuff, there's something in there for you, something in there for everybody. And it was real ambitious, but it really all started from my mother. That led her passing away. It led up to this book, to this time right now.
You clean out her spot.
Clean out her spot, me and my sister, and seeing that stuff, it just opened up a lot, man. I felt connected to her, and it brought me back to my childhood and my natural way before the world got a hold of me, before I needed
the pure innocence of who you are.
The pure innocence of who I was, you know what I'm saying? And just knowing, like, the main things was being connected to God and expressing myself through writing. You know what I'm saying? Those were the two things that I loved doing as a child, and it brought me back to that. And then it made sense to why I was always attracted to creative things.
The visionary.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Just from listening to the story, reading your bio, your resume.
Yeah.
That's what you know what I mean? And then sitting with you today, that's like, he's such a visionary. Because you can paint a picture that people can understand. Like, bro, you just said something that I just did 2 weeks ago on Father's Day. You just said you went down and you cleaned when, your mom's passed. I went down south to see my pops for Father's Day. I'm in the living room. My mother got about 100 photo albums. I saw a photo album with just my mother, my dad, and my sister. I never saw that side of my family. My sister it was 7 years before they got me.
Right.
It took me, I've been on this earth 52 years. I've never seen that photo album until last 2 weeks ago on Father's Day. To see the three of them without me in the picture.
Never seen it.
I've never seen that, bro.
Right.
My sister's 3rd birthday party in the Bronx, like my dad and my mother holding my sister. I've always saw the four of us.
Right.
So it took me back to, damn, it was life before me. To that childhood. So when you said that, it took me right back
to when you was a kid.
A kid again.
Yes.
It took me right back. Looking at those old photos, I'm sending them to my kids in the group chat. Like, and I said, memory lane. I'm 7 years old, this Lacoste shirt on. Like, I remember that moment. I remember that time.
Yeah. And I feel like it's important, again, going back to the subtitle, True Power Hides in Plain Sight. Like, that's always been in you, but it's like dormant because, again, we so busy dealing with yo, I gotta do this. I gotta go to work. I gotta pay this bill. Da 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 da. And we kind of lose sight to who we are naturally. And you know, my goal is to try to help people get back to that, because life is hard. Being in this rat race is hard enough. And I feel like being centered and understanding who you are naturally, I call it, you know, well, it's called the witness consciousness. And it's important to get back in touch with that person, not the person that, you know, you are always, like when you thinking, like you were just saying, like when you're going through something, you always like, you're thinking about, and it's not always the right thing to do because we're thinking emotionally, but it's the person that's surveying those thoughts that you have, seeing yourself in real time, getting in touch with that, the witness in you. And I think that's what helps me. You know what I'm saying? That's what keeps me centered. So where I'm not rushing to make a decision that's gonna be off instinct that I probably shouldn't make. That's my emotions, that's my ego. I learned to take a step back and see what's the best way to really handle this, because you know, that way's probably not the best way. Can it work and can you make it still happen to work? Yeah, but it's probably not the best way.
Right.
You know, so, you know, I think you getting in touch with that, like it shouldn't take something tragic like what happened to me. Thank God it wasn't something like that for you. You still have your parents here. But
Well, my mom's is gone.
oh, okay. My
So,
condolences.
you know what I mean? And that's the thing. I know that photo album, her camera was her thing.
Did you go down there because she passed?
No, I just went down and see my dad for
Oh,
Father's
okay.
Day, you know what I mean?
But she had already passed.
She already
Oh,
passed.
okay, got you.
But I'm saying you always go look at the photo album because that was my mom's thing.
Yes, taking the pictures.
That was her. She had that camera since 1960. It's pictures in from 1969. I never seen it in my life till 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that gave me a piece of my mother when I got all the photo albums.
You felt her presence.
Exactly, but to see that one photo album and what you just said was so therapeutic, and I want to say thank you for that, because I never realized I was witnessing. I needed that.
Yeah.
I'm up here doing all this. I don't see those pictures.
There's something for your
I
soul.
don't go back.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to take me back to the essence.
Yeah.
So me taking videos of those pictures allows me to, that's my therapy. I can go back and be okay, let me think clearly. What would this young kid right here, this pure kid, that's his pureness.
And it's important to be in touch with the ancestors. And whether it's your mom, but once you really become, this is where I get a little spiritual. So
now I'm spiritual as well too. My pops is sick.
Please, if I get a little bit
you
too
good.
much,
Let's go. Let's build. You know what I mean?
It's important to be in touch with your ancestors, and you know, with your moms, with even if you can go deeper. And I think once you get to a certain point of awareness and consciousness, you know, where we grew up, and you probably remember this, you know, we grew up in the hip hop era, and a lot of those brothers who was the pioneers in that, they came from the civil rights movement, and they came from learning a lot of the originators of the conscious, what some people call the conscious community.
Right.
You had a lot of, you know, and we learned a lot of that coming up through some of the music and some of the things that was going on. So that's something I always also studied, was people like Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, and these people part of the conscious community that was teaching me and others a part of history, going all the way back to the ancestors and what people call Egypt, but we know is Kemet, the original name. For those who don't know, before Egypt was named by the Greeks, before that it was called Kemet. That was the actual name of Egypt. And going back to that and understanding how spiritual we was, I think it's important to understand not only, you know, your lineage, but how it all the way goes back. So when you talk about, you know, vision, I say it's important to understand past, present, and future. That's how you become a visionary, because understanding your path, your past, allows you to become a better visionary, because you have to see patterns and how things are going and really be a student of people and where society's going and how people are naturally. And the deeper you can get into that from a spiritual standpoint is important. And me moving around New York City, even in the music industry, one thing I always tell people, one thing I loved about dealing with people in that industry, I love dealing with cats that was like hustlers from the street, because you have a different sense of awareness. Like I would say some of the smartest people I've ever met in my life.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I trusted them more because when you come from that environment, one, your character is different. You understand that your word has to be your bond. You know, there's consequences for not keeping your word. You know, no disrespect to anybody who didn't grow up that way or didn't come from that or, you know, went to school. I'm not saying that they're untrustworthy. I'm just saying for me, in my experience, I realized like I had great experiences with almost everybody, but the people that I did the best business with was people that came from that. And there was certain energy that you felt where we all come from the same place, but we also had that like, you know, especially we came up from that era, like we was really in tune spiritually with each other. And, you know, building like how we building right now,
Right.
being able to do that builds that bond and that connection. And, you know, I tell my kids, like, you gotta know your history. You gotta understand it, because when you get older and you come across people who also have that same level of understanding and knowledge itself, is gonna build such a strong connection because it's built off it's built off realness. And that's always the way from where I come from. So it starts with always feeling that connection to your ancestors naturally, but take it a step further. I was always in the history, and we as a people need to also go back and understand that part of history that they're not going to teach you in school. Like, you know, knowing you got to teach yourself. And I would tell anybody, if you're going to watch this, go back and look up Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, you know, study anything you can on ancient Kemet, on the Assyrian drama that came out of there. And it gives you a good basis to understand even now the system that we're living under. You know, it's a reason why they have things like the pyramids and stuff like that on our dollar bills and stuff like
Right.
that. You know what I mean? It all connects, man. But I want people to go out there and do their research. Don't just take my word for it. Go on there, fact check, read things, take time, man. Just don't be on Instagram looking up funny stuff or a bunch of people.
Distractions.
Because it's all there to distract you, because they don't want you to learn all that good stuff. They don't. Trust me. They do not want you to know that stuff. And any room I walk in, if they don't look like us, no matter where the nationality they are, when you start talking that real stuff, they have a different amount of respect for you. That's a fact, because they don't expect you to know your history.
That's a fact too. That's a big fact, and I need the culture to understand that. You know what I mean? It's okay to we can put all our energy into a lot of other things. We can make sure who got where the doshi's being sold at, where the kicks is being dropped, the latest kicks and everything, but let's also find out what's going on. You know what I'm saying? That's very important. King, I want to touch on a subject before we get out of here, because you already kind of touched on it when you talked about the social media, your platform, on what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You spreading a message.
Yeah.
And when I first went on it, I was like, yo, he's giving game? Is he rapping? He's giving game. But see, I'm so much, and I'm gonna say this.
It was confusing?
No, it wasn't, because
Okay.
I caught it in a moment where I was in my zone. So I said I had to sit back, and it caught me. And I said, that's what I need to do. I needed to catch me. Okay. I like to be caught. I don't want to just, because certain things you see, all right, it caught me, because I was like, hold up, what's the message?
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's good to hear what people.
You know what I mean?
What people
that was the thing.
thinking.
So when I asked what's the message, I had to keep replaying. Then I said, okay, I got it.
Right.
Because people don't even really they just want to hear what you're saying, and they keep going.
They keep going.
Me, I'm like, what's the message? It's a message behind. He's not just Yo, some people are wasting their time, let's be clear.
Yeah.
But the tone, like you said, knowing, not, I don't know you, but knowing where you come from, understanding it, like, okay, I know him.
Right.
I know him. If I've seen him in this, yo, what's up, fam?
Right.
You know what I mean?
So
That energy.
I'm glad you said, because I try to come across as authentic. I just
Right.
be me, to be honest with you. I'm
That's
not
what
even trying to be
You're
authentic.
not being, you being yourself.
If somebody said, "What's your brand?" I think anybody who knows me will tell you, like, I'm authentic, right?
I feel like you was giving us the gospel.
But yeah, I'm just telling you what my truth is, what I think. Like, I'm
Right.
not telling you to be like me or nothing like that, but I'm telling, my goal is to just spark something or plant a seed that maybe can grow. Because what I learned is, it's not your job to try to change somebody. People change on their own mind. But I feel like as elders, it's our job to, if we know something, to at least try to impart that on somebody without trying to beat it into their head. So if I see a young person and I talk to them about something, I give them some game, at least they might not agree, but then they pass it on to you and you give them, you just put a little water on that, little something. So that's what it is. So the reason why I said I'm glad, it's good to hear some insights, because like I told you, like literally I was off social media for 5 years. I just got back on it when I started really, kind of promoting this book, doing a soft kind of like promotion on it at first. Now I'm going more hard body with it. And so my thing with going on social media is, yeah, some of it is game. I try to bring it all back to the book though. So some of the stuff you see on there that sounds like rapping, that's in the book. It's in the book. So
it's a message behind it all.
Yeah, so the intro to the book is a verse. Could be a poem, a rap. So like
your personal verse that you wrote.
I wrote everything in there.
Okay.
So that's why I say it's so many different writing styles. So these are all my words. The only thing that's not in there is I got quotes. I got quotes in there. But as far as verses and stuff, so I got a chapter in there called Hustler's Confession. So I got a verse
that's
in
the
it.
one I caught.
Well, that's the one that a lot of people seem to like on there. I got like 3 of them on
I bumped
there.
into that really before I got on your page.
Oh, okay.
So when I got your info and went on the page, I say, wow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I saw that before Lavish Kurt even hit me.
Yeah.
Before the day me and you spoke.
And I kind of did that because I wanted to show people like my wordplay like on that, and some of the my adolescent time was spent with soul still in pockets, so I could still make change at the drop of a dime. It costs a lot to keep things not for sale. And like those are some of the lines that I love in that, because it's so real, because literally, it's not literally about me, but it's about like that error in the way, or what I was just saying to you about, people in that integrity. My adolescent time was spent with soul still in pocket, so I could still make change at the drop of a dime. See, it costs a lot to keep things not for sale. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like you spend your time, not losing yourself, not losing your soul. So at the end of the day, you can still make change, saying like, I could hopefully help change somebody's life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? At the drop of a dime, that's that integrity part. You know what I'm saying? And it costs a lot to keep things not for sale. And I'll just let that ponder with somebody. You see what that means to you. It costs a lot to keep things not for sale. You're paying your dues. Anything that you keep, you're not selling, you're not getting that money. It's like I'm a double, triple entendre person, so it means different things at different levels. But it goes into a whole story of a hustler talking about growing up in the 80s and 90s and seeing things, how they changed. But I got my little Twilight Zone, Black Mirror story in there called United States of Affairs. Gets a little deeper, futuristic. It goes back in time, and I got the last chapter about my mom's. So it's a lot of different things in there, but I appreciate you saying that. But yeah, so the social media is about game. I
wouldn't call it game. I would call it wisdom.
Well, wisdom,
and
yeah.
spreading wealth.
That
You know what I'm
is a
saying?
better word for
Because
it.
I don't want to say game because it's so much game.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, like, we recognize game.
Right.
I
right.
wouldn't call. I don't want you to call
Nah, you
it
right.
game.
Nah, you right.
I want to call. I prefer you call it gems, wisdom, because game is somebody trying to get over or just tell
it's
you
a fact.
something to persuade you to go down this way, and it's not doing that. Hustler's ambitions. I'm not. This is not a game.
Right.
I'm telling you the ambitions of a man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, that's a fact. Thanks for correcting me. But yeah, and there's stuff on there about family, you know, dealing with a toxic family that comes from, that's called the bark, you know, dealing with that generational trauma that either in our lives or in other people's lives, you see it, dealing with that. So it's a lot of different topics. And so on social media, I try to put some of that out there so to give people like a visual of what's on there. And like you said, in a way to hopefully somebody sees it. And for you to tell me that, I really appreciate that it's something that sparks in you or motivates you or some type of thing that's positive. I really appreciate that, man.
Yo, man, the voice of the culture, man. I got my guy next to me, man. Let them know where they can find the book, find your social media.
So again,
everybody know, man.
CA Victor, everything is the Conscious Pugilist. So let me just say I'm surprised you ain't asked me about the meaning of that because that's what everybody does. A lot of people don't know what pugilist means. It's basically, it says
that
it.
really was the last question.
Oh, okay. Because everybody asked me that. So if you go to the book, is one of the first things in there. It gives you the definition up there. It's a professional fighter. So that's pretty much the brand, the Conscious Pugilist, Conscious Fighter. And that's basically what I'm out here trying to do.
No, that's not what you're trying to do. You're doing.
Thank you.
Please, be clear.
That's what we're doing out here. So on IG, the Conscious Pugilist, YouTube, the Conscious Pugilist. And it's my own creative space. So like he said, you're gonna see some words of wisdom there. A lot of it's gonna be tied into the book, relationships, stuff like that. You're gonna see I'm gonna be speaking, doing some audio on the book. So you're gonna see a lot. And then I got plans for some other things that I wanna touch on that I think will be dope and I think y'all gonna like out there. And what was the other thing you were saying?
Where can they find the book?
Oh, so they could find the book.
They gotta get the book.
I mean, just go to Amazon. I'm pretty sure everybody out there got an Amazon account. So,
facts.
So if you go to Amazon and you just put in the Conscious Pugilist, it's such a unique name, it should definitely come up. And I got the book on there, hard copies, Kindle, if you want to just see it online, and the soft copies as well. And this is for you, brother. So
oh man,
you
appreciate that, man. I need you to sign it before we get out of here.
Yeah. I was looking for a pen and a card to do that, but yeah, that's it, man. I appreciate you having me. Thank you to my man back there. We talking about the cameraman and the editing, and it was a pleasure, man. You're a dope interviewer, and I wish you nothing but peace and blessings and much success to you.
King, I appreciate you. I need you to come back when you drop the second book, because I know something else.
Yeah, that's volume 1, so we got volume 2 for sure.
Yo, it's the voice of the culture, man. West New York, the Hush. CA Vic.
Peace.
You see the book. We out of here. Love. That's it, baby.